Look at that. No video. Look at that. Fantastic. Fantastic. Isn't that beautiful? You would think the one thing that I wouldn't forget to turn on, the one thing would be the camera. You'd think. You'd get ready for a stream. And you would turn the... Wait. Why is the camera not working? 1 second. 1 second. Let's try this really quickly. Observe. There we go. There we go. How's everyone doing? I kind of bumped the camera. It's fine how it is. It's fine. It's fine. All right. How's everyone doing today? I'll give everybody just one more minute to filter in. How's everyone's week going so far? All right. Well, how's everyone's Friday going? Russell is bringing you guys the news. 26 months. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. The alert didn't go off. The alert. We just fixed... we need to get these updates out. We need to get these updates out. This is a sham. This is a sham. Will the British supermarkets? I missed this. What happened with the British? Oh, I see. I see. Well, I'm going to add this to our news. Thanks for bringing it up. I had missed it. I had missed it. Hondors, Harrod. Wait, I can't pronounce this. Is it Harrods? Harrods? Is that how you pronounce it? Harrods? Should not do this on stream. It's an English word. I want to say Herod, but I don't think it's Herod. Harads. Okay, I think that's it. That or you're pulling my leg. What do they sell? It's a department store? Okay. I don't actually understand what a department store is. That usually means like it just does everything. That's what I think of. I don't shop very much, so maybe. All right. Dragon Force hacking group. Interesting. Very expensive goods. Okay, this is why I have never been. This is why I've never been. I have kids. I don't go where there's very expensive goods. They don't accept my type there. Actually, funny story. Me and a coworker. All right, we have a tendency to not dress super well. Like we have a tendency to look like we have a tendency to be very stereotypical software engineer that look like they might be homeless. Okay, so me and my coworker, we go into this restaurant because we were told that it was tacky. Okay, and so our expectation was that this was like some cheap tacky place. That's like the type of place we would go to eat. Okay, so anyways, we show up, we walk in, we sit down, and we order an appetizer, and the appetizer was kind of expensive. It was kind of expensive, but not like shockingly so. And then we get the menu, and like, mind you, I have holes in my clothes type of appearance. This was when my hair was a little more disheveled, but the cheapest thing on this menu is like $85. Cheapest thing. Like most of the things were $100 per meal. These people should not have set us down. We did not belong there. That was not us. We were like, oh, you guys should have warned us. You guys should have warned us. I don't know why they were just like, oh yeah, come on in. We did not look like we could pay for that. We look like we did. Look, we looked like we belonged on the streets of San Francisco. Yes. People believe that I live in San Francisco because I'm a software engineer and I look like I belong on the streets of San Francisco. I wouldn't get upset if these people had been like, do you know how much it costs to eat here? I would have appreciated it. I would have appreciated it. Russell, you are hitting all the achievements. Very nice. All right, let's talk with the first little bit of something that I want to cover. First, I've seen people on YouTube making a lot of money off of saying it's the end of Rust. I've seen news covering it. I want to talk about it because it's a good achievement. There's also a good takeaway from this. Something that I want to focus on. And yeah, I think people are looking at the wrong spot, like they normally do. Prisma recently made a big announcement about the new Rust-free version of Prisma ORM. It is faster. If you watch all of their stuff, it is faster than with the Rust engine. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a issue with Rust. But if you actually read through here, they will tell you that it is specifically not because Rust was slow. Quite on the contrary. The big thing and the reason, that's not because Rust itself is slow. Quite the contrary. The big takeaway here was their architecture and how their architecture worked and how their architecture passed objects between different languages, which actually had a large overhead. And that's the thing people should be focusing on, is architecture has a lot of performance considerations. How you design your application to work has a lot of performance considerations. And I think I'm not saying everybody missed that. I'm not saying everybody missed that topic, but I think it's a really important topic to talk about. I know, Grey Hatter. I know, Grey Hatter. It's heresy of me to talk about how we design our systems, how we design our code, and how we design them to be used and leveraged. And sometimes they're used and leveraged in ways that we weren't initially planning for, which makes us have to rethink about how they were designed to support that usage better, right? We're only human. We're not AIs here. We can't think of everything and come up with a statistically perfect way of doing it. So I actually kudos to the Prisma team for coming up with this and going through with it. It's a big rewrite. I want to give kudos to them. Obviously, I love Rust, but I love really well-designed software that works the way you want it to work. And it sounds like at this point, Prisma works a lot better for the way people leverage it. Now, I personally don't use Prisma. I don't love ORMs, but if you are an ORM enjoyer, then Prisma is probably a pretty good one. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm not an ORM enjoyer. But yeah, so awesome. Good for them. But I wanted to focus on, this portion because I don't think it got enough focus. And again, there's a lot that depends on this. I'm at fault. I'm at fault. I get it. It's my fault for all the rage. I sincerely apologize. I will try to step up my streaming game. You have my word on it. Yeah. So anyways, I think a lot of what I've seen you guys are talking about definitely you guys understand. You guys understand, which is great. I'm actually happy for the Prisma team. I know that there had been some people upset with Prisma because of it was kind of clunky. There was compiling to targets issues that front end people didn't want to have to deal with. A lot of people that were using it were leveraging it from TypeScript anyways already. So this seems to make a lot of sense for them, and good job for them realizing it and taking the effort to do it. It also is a tremendous amount of work. So awesome. Let's move on. It does not mean Rust is dying as a language, or that Rust was inefficient. It's just inefficient architecture, which happens to all of us. All right, let's talk about security. There's a couple things that happened. There's a little bit of drama. The biggest news was Herod's. I am mispronouncing it terribly. Absolutely terribly. I apologize for that. Rust itself is slow. I believe I highlighted. I did highlight Rust itself is slow, didn't I? I did highlight Rust itself as slow. Perfectly taken out of context. Perfectly taken out of context. This is going to go into my everything that's wrong with the news section, which is actually a section I have today, is everything that's wrong with the news section. And if you're here for the first time, what I try, I'm not a great investigative journalist, but I do try to give a leveled, measured take on the news articles that I see. I do a little bit of investigation and try to do a little bit of understanding, which is we're going to dive into some claims made about AI, what the news said about them, and the actuality, if you actually go and listen to the CEO of Microsoft, what he actually said and what it actually means. So that's a little bit later on today. Clickbait. Clickbait. It's worse than clickbait. Clickbait. I don't even do it. My community makes it for me. All right, let's talk about security. Harrods, a big, famous, world known by most people, British retailer, is hit by a cyber attack. Now, it seems like this is more than just that. The Dragon Force hacking gang, or the MS cyber attack, has caused a lot of chaos across England. Now, I don't necessarily know that. I've been told that. Okay, well, this is dumb. That's even dumber. I have been told that they sell expensive things, so this is predominantly why I don't go to this store. Also because I'm not in the UK. I'm in Canada. All right. That was a joke. But anyways, so it seems like this is actually something the community brought. I had no time to prepare for it, so I don't really know. But it looks like multiple retail chains could be taken as a wake-up call. It seems like they need, you know, honestly, this is probably true about a lot of companies, just in general. Local and small businesses probably are not protected nearly as well. My recommendation is that if you are a small business and you don't have a security team, it is paramount that you leverage a product like Cloudflare, like GCP Security Suite, that you don't do the things yourself. It's just absolutely paramount that you don't even try, because it's a hard problem. It's an absolutely hard problem. It's a hard problem to solve. And I bet you that a bunch of small businesses are susceptible to like really easy attacks. You know, here in the United States, I know there's a bunch of small businesses that have like their own servers, and I almost guarantee you that you can just script kiddie 3/4 of them. Like you can literally just script kiddie 3/4 of the websites, and as well as like their servers that they're running their tax software on that they haven't patched for years. Almost promise you. Guaranteed. It's maybe pretty terrifying. Going into a little bit better news. Indian courts orders blocking of Proton Mail. This is actually the second time this has happened. So Proton Mail offers an encrypted email. And they have notoriously fought back against giving any identifying information, and it's all encrypted. And the Indian courts have made an injunction to block Proton Mail. Now, the first time that this happened, the first time that they had an injunction to get blocked in India, because I guess somebody is using Proton Mail to send harassing email, the European courts stepped in to keep it from being blocked. Now, I think if I had to encourage India in any way here, is that people that are going to do this, it's not Proton Mail's issue. People are going to do this, whether Proton Mail is maybe the most convenient choice at the time, but creating a Gmail account or doing something like that anonymously is also easy enough to do. Proton just happens to be the choice of accounts because it's currently the easiest low bar for that. Not that it's impossible to do any other way. Yeah. So, anyways, that's happening. Moving on, Oracle engineers mistakenly triggered a 5-day software outage for community health system hospitals, causing the facilities to temporarily return to paper-based patient records. For 5 days, I think it was about 17 hospitals were using paper records. Because I didn't, you want to know something? I didn't know hospitals had these things in. I didn't know that this was a set of standards, which is, I'm actually just like super happy. Our hospitals are actually ready for the computer systems to just go down. That's awesome. I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't realize they were actually ready to do that. Fantastic. Good on the hospitals. Like this is a good job, hospitals. And I wanted to call it out because it was Oracle making a mistake, which you know how often I like to call out Oracle for their mistakes. That's a favorite pastime of mine. So it happens to the best of us. But anyway, now, you know what's even better than Oracle make a mistake is when you make a product that spies on your employees. I mean, that is what the product was designed to do. It's a monitoring app. But what is really great is when that monitoring app leaks 21 million screenshots on thousands of users. So Work Composer was leaking screenshots of user activity on the open web. When they say clear web, they just mean unauthenticated. You could just go and get screenshots of their bank accounts, screenshots of everything. So why I'm bringing this up is if your company uses Work Composer right now, go change every single one of your passwords. Go change your it sucks. This is terrible. Yeah, Togglebit, it was clipped. It's official. Rust is slow. I proved it. Writing in just about any other language like Python is faster, provides more robust type-safe code. That's literally what I proved earlier in the stream. You can go rewatch it though. Change your password every 20 seconds as the screenshot, you will keep leaking it. No. Okay. Change it on a different computer. But it has been patched, okay? So, like, they're not leaking any longer. So, like, it has been patched, but this is pretty terrifying. This is pretty terrifying. Balatro? Yeah, it's a faster language than Rust. Proven. Chicken is a better language than Rust. If you would believe my Twitch chat on the words that I say and the things they clip, you would believe that I think Ballerina is a better language than Rust. Is that the card-based programming language? Oh gosh. I don't know what I got into. All right. Now I want to pose to you a question on... This is a hard one. This is actually a hard one. I don't know the right answer. I'm going to pose a question to you all. We're going to talk about why it's a hot topic in the news today. And it's something we need to talk about more. I actually took one stance in the automotive industry, but I'm not sure that actually works for this industry. The question I'm going to ask you all is, should security be paid for? Should security be paid for? That's the question. All right. I need a 2-minute break. You guys come back with if security should be paid for. I'll be right back. 2 minutes. You guys think about that. Those fonts are rubbish. I am working on the away from screen. Absolute rubbish as it is. It's gonna get a little bit better. I'm actually working on animating the steam from that. I also need a few different away from keyboard ones because I want like some for the news versus some for the random stream. Anyways, I'm working on it. But the fonts are rubbish. You're right. It should be hack. That's the only true font we know. It depends on what's being secure. If you have a security personnel guarding property, people, etc., then I'm pretty sure that security will never be free, nor should it be. All right, I tend to agree with you, Machine. So now the question becomes, is where do we draw the line? If you have something that makes people more secure, should you charge for it? And what blew up was like Windows Server. I didn't know people still use Windows servers. I didn't know Windows Server was still a thing. But with Windows Server, there is now a no reboot security fixes. But you have to pay for it. It's actually a subscription that you pay for. So this was kind of the big thing. The idea here was for the 12 people that use Windows servers, they could pay a subscription and basically get to hot patch their machines and have fewer or no things. Now, a lot of people are upset because it's now $1.50 per machine per server for this hot patching ability. It would make a lot of servers a lot easier to maintain. And so like there's a lot going on with this. There's a lot of people taking both sides to this. It is a feature they had to develop. It's actually work they had to go through. Wait, there are 3 times as many Windows Server users as there are GCP users? Possibly. The vote is still out. We're unsure whether GCP or Windows Server has more users. And the actual fact is probably there's more Windows Server, which terrifies me. But that terrifies me. Right. Should you pay extra for more convenient security? You're actually probably true. That's probably I would argue it's more secure because there's so many groups that don't know how to do the rolling upgrade and didn't design it in their system to always be redeploying. So if you're talking about a really good system, and you know when you have like a really good engineering team, because their system is designed to always be redeployed, and that's for this hot patching, like it goes from your system to your application, and this is software bundled with your application. Like the whole thing needs to be able to be redeployed from your infrastructure to the OS to the bundle of software that you have. All of it should be able to be, the really high performing teams can redeploy all of that very quickly and easily. It's a hard problem to solve though. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. So this makes it easier for the people who don't have that expertise. So anyways, I'm not going to tell you what the right answer is here, what the solution is. It's more of, that is a thing that's going on. Some people believe that should be part of the OS. Personally, it's on an OS I don't ever use, so. I have very little fight in the dog in the fight. I'm not sure what the saying is, but we'll move on from that one. Now, the Nest team, the Google team killed something this week. But do you know what? This is the first time I'm actually on board with how Google is doing this. Companies will easily pay that small price, and Microsoft knows it. Yeah, that's why people are probably most upset. It feels like extortion, but like it is something they're providing for more convenient security. Absolutely. All right. The first generation smart Nest thermostats are getting deprecated. They're getting removed, the first and second gen. Now, I'm actually really liking how they're doing this. I actually am like so on board with how they're doing this. I can't believe Google is killing something like it. I can't believe that Google has supported the first and second generation of Nest thermostats for this long. But on top of that, they're doing it in maybe the best way a company has ever done this. Now, I realize that thermostats, unlike phones, are things that your house they're built with your house, and they kind of sit there and you kind of expect them to stay around for a long time. And so that's maybe why they're doing it this way. But basically, they're about to end of life them. And it kind of makes sense. They build software for these Nest thermostats specifically for the hardware. That being said, basically, they're end of life in October. And if you're, man, I don't know why the words are escaping me. If you upgrade before then, you get half off. Imagine getting half off a 13-year-old iPhone. Imagine you have a 13-year-old iPhone and you get half off your new iPhone. Honestly, that is not bad. That is not bad for a 13, 14-year-old product. I don't personally use a Nest learning thermostat. I actually have one that we're gonna play around with. We're gonna control it with ESP32s eventually, sometime. It's on the thing. It's on the docket. But they're not making new software for it. It's going to continue to work. There's just not going to be software updates, and there's not going to be any connection between your phone. So it's just going to work as a thermostat, like a regular thermostat after October. So you could just continue with it. But if you have a 13-year-old thermostat, you can get half off of a new one. I don't hate this. I actually don't hate this. So anyways, that's something to know. If you have a Nest learning thermostat, probably should upgrade. I did not mean to go to that just yet. just yet. Yep, wire brushes are known to eliminate rust. So keep it, yeah. All right, what do we want to talk about? You know what? I want to talk about open source later. We have a lot of, you know what? We're going to talk about open source now. Let me rearrange this really quickly. We're going to talk about open source now because there's a lot to go into open source. We have a Drama Llama this week. We're just working on a Drama Llama every single day, it seems like. There's a couple big things that happened in open source that I think have implications. Like probably long-standing implications moving forward. So let's do our open source. We're gonna save the Drama Llama for last. We're gonna start with just some open source stuff that I saw, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right, so in open source, I saw something interesting. There is now Styrolite, I guess is what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Styrolite is a container runtime built in a now dead and defunct language. So I know that Rust is a dead and defunct language. We already covered that the wire brush language came in and eliminated all need for Rust. But it's Apache 2. This is actually a really cool take on container runtimes. And it's something that we could all learn from if you want to go look at it. They built their own container runtime to operate as a microservice. So they made, most container runtimes currently are made kind of to be, there's two forms. There's either the CRI, like the Open Container Initiative, or which is then a protobuffer based spec. That's the CRI is 100% a protobuffer. You have to have a protobuffer, blah, 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 whatever. It's either the CRI spec or it's a command line thing. This was more of like, let's build an API for container runtimes. And the CRI, which is the Kubernetes runtime interface, the really interesting about the CRI is it's very opinionated about pods. It's very opinionated about how Kubernetes does it. It's not a container runtime, really. It's more of a Kubernetes container runtime. I mean, that's what it is. It's a Kubernetes container runtime. And it doesn't do all the container stuff. And it literally looks at just pods, not even containers. So this is actually a really cool practice and a cool thing to do. If you're trying to learn Rust, it's also an interesting project to go look at. I'm not saying you go adopt Styrolite as a thing. It was just a cool concept too. But yeah, it is in Rust, so we all do know that it's a slow container runtime. There's just no helping that. It was written in Rust. Potato is all you hear? Cool, I didn't say potato on either. But I mean, we do know that Rust is kind of a potato. So. Fair. There's been some unofficial support for Arch on WSL. And this was actually brought available when you could actually make a WSL out of a zip file. And I let that you guys know that in the news. But now there's actually an official WSL image for the Windows subsystem for Linux for Arch. So if you guys have been wanting to use the most superior Linux distribution on Arch, on Windows, you now can. You know what even the best part is, if you have the power for it, you can run a VM of Windows in Arch to run WSL with Arch. I think that's actually the peak programmability, is if you're running Arch WSL in a VM on Arch. Peak productivity. The AI said that it sounded like a good idea, and that's probably how we should all be coding going forward. You can finally have a real Arch distro in WSL at work. Yep. Yeah, so this is actually really, really cool. So go check it out. Give it a check. I think it's awesome. So, yeah. I want to both praise Firefox and I want to shame them at the same time. Firefox has finally released tab groups. And they put this as like, this is what happens when you listen to your community. We've been asking for 3 years. And there's actually people that have asked for longer than 3 years for this type of functionality. It has been your most requested feature for like 3 years. You can't come 3 years late and say you asked for it and you got it. It feels... Now, I'm super excited to try it. I've wanted to get back into maybe a more open source project, and I know that I've had a lot of problems with Firefox. So yeah. Right, you've been asking for vertical tabs for a whole lot longer. Right. Vertical tabs is another thing that I leverage heavily. We'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. All right. Spark Fun goes all in on Python hardware. If you have kids learning to program some of the hardware, I just wanted to give them a huge shout out. Have been huge for my kids learning to do some microcontroller stuff and making it easier to do. Instead of needing to do like C memory management garbage, they actually have a lot of fun doing it. I'm an equal opportunity hater on Python and everything Python. Sorry, trying to keep it PG. But it's absolutely, they've done a great job. Anyways, they are doing more with it now. I'm not going to go into all of this that they're doing, but it's actually pretty awesome. And if you're looking for something to get your kids into learning about logic and whatnot, it's a great way I've used to teach them logic. So anyways. All right. This is a long list of things fixed. And if you're asking what it is, it's not beta, it's alpha 7. Never been beta is the title of this one. People were saying this one was going to be the beta release. People were saying it's there. It's not. So it's not beta yet. But Cosmic Day Desktop. You know what? The big thing that they need to do now is remove... they need to remove Rust from it. It's written in Rust, which we know is now a slow, crappy language that's deprecated and being removed from most things. And so they need to do that before they go GA with it. Or really beta. So it should be only a little bit longer. Alpha 7 sounds like a space anime. I assume SparkFun is about to increase prices significantly. Possibly. You know, after my endorsement, stock prices through the roof. They only paid me a little bit to endorse them. they didn't pay me anything to endorse them. There's no communication between me and them, just to be clear. All right. I think that actually something big happened this last week that nobody's talking about in the CNCF world. Zero is technically none. It's not a little bit. It wasn't 0.000001. It was 0. If you have 0 eggs, you have none. You don't have a little bit of eggs. Nobody would say, I have 0 eggs, thus I have a few. I have a little bit. You would have, I have none. All right. Anyways, moving on. I think that a big thing happened to the CNCF that maybe not enough people are talking about. CNCF has classically only allowed Apache 2 or the MIT. It's actually in their bylaws that you have to be an Apache 2 or an MIT licensed project. That being said, that is still true, but not as much true. It's still part of their bylaws, but this happened this week. OpenTofu is going to be a CNCF project. So OpenTofu originally was adopted by the Linux Foundation when it was first forked, and now it's being adopted by the CNCF. It had a 69.39% of users voting to be adopted, with some that did not vote. Now, this actually required an exception because it leverages the MPL2 license. And it does not support, this is the Firefox MPL2 license, the Mozilla. Anyways, so it required the governing board of the CNCF to actually approve its adoption as an exception. So now there is precedence. Before this, there had been no precedence. Now there is precedence to get your MPL2 license project in the CNCF. I think this is a big deal because now they cannot leverage that really. I think that they actually should look back at their bylaws because it would be hard for them to say, hey, we would want you, but you have the MPL2 license. The reason it would be hard is there's already precedence that doesn't matter anymore. Now, it's a big deal because the MPL2 license, you have to be careful. Originally, before this date, you could use any CNCF project, and you didn't have to worry about creepy copy left. The MPL2 license has more copy left language in it, and you have to be careful while leveraging it. So I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving you legal advice, but I do think that this sets, I'm not gonna say a dangerous precedence, but it sets a precedence that changes fundamentally how you can treat CNCF projects, because that's changing. And I think it's a big deal. I think people should be talking about it. This is not the Drama Llama. We're not to the Drama Llama yet, but yeah. Anyways, I think this is a big deal, and we should be talking about it. I'm not gonna sit here and say that the CNCF did the right or the wrong thing. I'm merely stating that it does change the foundation of the CNCF. They now no longer have a real reason to reject an MPL2 licensed thing on the grounds of its license. And so even though it's still in their bylaws that you're supposed to be Apache 2, it's now, if we want you, we want you. All right, should we get into the Drama Llama? Yeah, you missed. We came up with that Rust is terribly slow. It's an ancient language. I mean, Rust is, don't get this, it's like 12 years old. My goodness, could you pick an older language to leverage? Oh. All right, let's talk about the other drama in the open source world that maybe you guys didn't see. Looking ahead with clarity and purpose for NATS.io. If you guys don't know what NATS.io is basically the CNCF, well, we'll get into that. The CNCF Kafka competitor. It's not nearly as bad as Kafka. It's a little bit easier. It's more cloud native ready. It's more Kubernetes ready. And it's pretty awesome. I've actually liked it. In 2019, it's 2000 something teen. The NATS.io project was donated by Cyndia. I don't know. This company, the purple blue company. It was donated to the CNCF and was accepted by the CNCF. The CNCF has now done 2 security reviews on it where it's been pen tested by them. It's had support from the CNCF and whatnot, blah, 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 whatever. And this is actually another really big deal in the open source community and to the CNCF because I think it will have an everlasting effect on the strength of the CNCF. And we'll get into that why. Now, Cyndia, yeah, they wrote. These people wrote. I think you're making fun of how I pronounced it. I believe with another. I didn't put a Z on there, Russell. I don't. What is the company that you're referencing? Is it like some horrible company? I don't know. I'm not gonna Google it though. Yeah. I know when I've been streaming for like 2 years, dude. I know when Twitch chat is trolling me, which is like 90% of the time. 90% of the time. All right. Anyways, let's move on from my terrible pronunciation of probably standard English words. All right. So I actually joined the conversation at this. This was the first I saw of this. But this was actually a response to a letter made by the CNCF, which I read, and it's long. We're not going to go through and read all of it. But let's I actually read it before this joint announcement, so there's even more breaking news here. So I read this before this May 1st update. I was actually reading on this yesterday without this May 1st update. I wonder what time this update came out. Do they have a time here? Please, for the love of all things good here, CNCF, timestamp your articles. It's rude. It's rude to not timestamp them. Okay. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We will actually read that. I'm going to go through some of the background. So this was released. This was a statement on basically that this company is trying to claw back the project, is trying to take the project back from the CNCF and say, hey, we'd like to vote. They held a private vote to exit the CNCF. And then it wrote a legal demand in writing, which I have here. So the CNCF actually uploads all of their legal demands in an open source repository. You can actually go and see this. And you can read the legal demand. And the legal demand is that they want it back. And they want the trademark. They want the NATS.io mark. They want it all back. You can see here that the IP policy of the CNCF, any project that is added to the CNCF must have ownership of its trademark and logo assets transferred to the Linux Foundation or a Linux Foundation project hosting entity. So just to be clear, when you do donate something to the CNCF, that is the agreed on stance. All new inbound code contributions in the CNCF may be the Apache 2 license, blah, 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 blah. May 1st is yesterday, right? I understand that it says May 1st. I don't know when May 1st because I was reading about this in the morning of May 1st, and I don't think I clicked refresh on it in the evening. So that's why I said I don't know what time they released that announcement, was all. Okay, so we can go through more of this, but I actually want to read the joint announcement. So basically, I'm guessing that this company is struggling to make money. What they wanted to do was claw it back to a source available license, the business source license, where basically after 4 years it would become Apache 2, but before that it was source available license. That was their goal. That is what they wanted to do, which I am categorically against. If you made something open source, you don't do that. They said that they wanted to do that because they didn't want to make like an enterprise add-on to it. They wanted to keep everything in the base NATS server. And basically the CNCF said, no, you can't exit the CNCF. You gave it to us. We put money into it and whatnot. And that was the big battle that was raging. And I actually wanted to see what will come out of this. But yesterday we have a response. So let's read that. Let's read what they said. The CNCF, which builds sustainable ecosystem for cloud-native software and a leading-edge innovator company, today announced that the widely adopted NATS project will continue to thrive in the cloud-native open-source ecosystem of the CNCF with this company's continue. We're going to call them the S company. We'll call them the syndicate because I can say syndicate. The syndicate continued support and involvement. The agreement comes following productive discussions with the syndicate about the future of the NATS project to align expectations and reinforce open governance. The syndicate has agreed to assign its 2 NATS trademark registrations to the Linux Foundation. Okay, so this was actually a really interesting thing that comes through here that I wanted to point out. If you actually look through all of the legals when you donate, they're supposed to. And this was actually like a really, really interesting. Oh, what happened here? Okay, so this is actually a really interesting development because the Linux Foundation actually, there was NATS.io had some sort of issue with Major League Baseball, and they had to solve that. And actually, the CNCF, before they could transfer it to the CNCF, and so the CNCF actually paid the legal fees to have the trademark issues with Major League Baseball resolved. And then the syndicate said, yeah, sure, we're going to transfer it here soon, and never transferred it for 5 years. Now, this is bad on the CNCF. The CNCF should have gone to them and been like, hey, you got to do it now. And they should have actually followed through. But they never actually transferred it. So they're going to actually transfer it this time. This time, guys, it's for real. This time it's for real. These steps further secure the project neutral stewardship for the future. The CNCF isn't neutral, but that's fine. The NATS project's infrastructure and assets, including the nats.io domain and GitHub repositories, will continue to be held by the CNCF, ensuring. As stewards of the CNCF project, the NATS project, CNCF committed to upholding open collaboration, neutral governance, and shared ownership so NATS can continue to grow and thrive as a community-driven project. We value all of the syndicate's efforts, and if somebody from the syndicate is listening, look, I don't know how to pronounce your stupid company's name, and your company's probably fantastic. I don't know. And it sounds like you guys actually came to a good agreement, which I love happy endings. I just don't know how to pronounce it. People are making fun of that, so I'm calling you the syndicate. I know it has negative connotations. I'm sorry. SY, syndicate or sync. I could have called you Sync, but whatever. Efforts in developing and contributing to the NATS, including their investment in defense of the NATS trademark, and I appreciate their continued support for the project. The Syndicate is a major contributor to NATS and will continue contributing and maintaining the NATS project like all members of the community. The Syndicate is also free to pursue its own commercial interests by building on top of the open source NATS project. This is what they had kind of said they didn't want to do, but I guess that's what they've decided to do. As with any open source code base, if the Syndicate chooses to fork the NATS server code for a proprietary offering in the future, it will do so under a new name. NATS has been a labor of love of mine for nearly 15 years. The entire Syndicate team and I deeply care about NATS and have devoted significant resource to its growth and adoption. Our commitment remains unwavering to provide impactful, accessible technology and benefit the global community. We genuinely look forward to our collaboration with the Linux Foundation and the CNCF, ensuring that all mature and successful projects with the CNCF receive the robust support they need to thrive. Cool. Is the other party in the announcement Tom Holland? That's a name. For sure. I'm sure he's done something with computers. I don't know who Tom Holland is. All right. So this is cool. Now, I would have to say, it seems like everybody came out to a good agreement. And it sounds like things would have probably legally come out to this. When they donated the project under the governance, this is what is required and expected and what they signed that they would do. So it's not surprising to me that it came out this way. I wish that this hadn't been sent. I wish this hadn't been sent. This was rough. This should have been handled before a legal thing was sent. I think that's probably the biggest deal here, and why I went with the Syndicate was when you did something in an open source project in closed doors, why people reacted so badly, and then sent through a lawyer a legal demand that rubs people the wrong way. I think that I wish that this had been done without the Drama Llama. I think we could have done it. And I think this is, I'm happy. You know, as of yesterday morning, this hadn't come out and it was still up in the air. And I was going to say, like, this will have a huge impact on how trustable the CNCF is. And by how trustable is, I was going to say that this CNCF cannot roll over, right? The CNCF has to stand up and fight because it's what makes it so dependable. I've always said that, okay, it's been given to the CNCF, and that means you can trust that it won't go closed source. I have always said that and stood behind that as why somebody might donate something to the CNCF, the Linux Foundation, or wherever you donate it to. And that holds true. That holds true. They needed to fight for it, because if they rolled over and said, well, the Syndicate is really the only company that contributes code to this, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, because the Syndicate is really the only company that majorly contributes. They are like 95% of the contributions to nats.io, which actually doesn't fit with the precedents. The CNCF says more than one company should really dominate it. So here, actually, this did kick off a health check on NATS. There are health concerns around the NATS project, and basically a single vendor contributes a lot to it. So this has actually kicked up a lot of stuff of, hey, maybe there should be more vendors interested in the NATS project or involved in the NATS project. So it's not just a single vendor dictating where it goes. That's what I'm saying, Russell. Now, to be clear, they don't abandon it. They will archive it. And the company is able to fork it, but they'd have to give over NATS.io. The CNCF still owns the trademark. Does this make sense? And this is what the CNCF was saying, is that they could fork it if they like. But NATS, whether they keep it or they archive it, will stay under the CNCF. That's why I called out that NATS right now is under a health check. That's what this health check is going to do, is see if it's actually a healthy CNCF project. Oh, you typed it before you said it. Okay, I'm sorry. I asynchronously read chat. Anyways, this is why I wanted to bring this up. I think it's a big deal for the CNCF. I've been watching it. I didn't see this morning's update or yesterday evening's update. I don't know when it was because they don't time mark their stuff. But yes, the CNCF was saying they keep the trademark, and if the other company wanted to fork it, that's fine. If that means that the health check fails in the CNCF and they archive it, that's fine, but they keep the trademark. The company can have whatever. All right, I am running out of time. We're gonna speed run the last sections here. Expressive ESP32.5C is now production ready. So if you're wanting to get your hands on that sweet RISC-V sock that supports 2.5 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5, Zigbee, and Thread connectivity, you now can. It is in mass production. Super cool. I'm excited about that. I like tinkering with these things. I don't do anything productive with them, but I like wasting my money on tinkering with things that are super cool. This is my section of what's wrong with the news. What's wrong with the news is this. Microsoft CEO says up to 30% of the company's code was written by AI. This is categorically wrong. TechCrunch, you should be ashamed of yourself. I am calling you out, Maxwell Zeff, for bad writing and unethical code writing. It said that 20 to 30% of the code in the repos that are Python are probably written by software, or AI in this case. But this is specifically targeting Python. He said that it's fantastic at Python. And if you actually go, and I actually had to dig into what Satya was saying, but he was talking about how it's great in Python, and in their Python repositories at Microsoft, I'd say maybe 20 to 30% of the code that was inside our repos today in some of those projects are probably written. This is vastly different than Microsoft CEO says up to 30% of the company's code was written by AI. This is not what he said at all. And it very much upsets me. It's why I do what I do. If you guys don't know why I do, it's hard to know what's actually happening out there. And I spend a little bit of time investigating these. It's not that Python's easy. What does it have a lot of training on? A language that's hard to screw up. Python. What does it have little training on? C++. Most of C++ isn't open source. It's harder to get a big group of C++. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of open source C++, but it's not as diverse as all the other ones. But anyways, I just get really upset about that. I don't like intellectual dishonesty, and I don't like big clickbait. Okay, let's move on. I have something interesting. About AI, which I think is actually a really cool way to leverage AI, and maybe one of the most effective ways technical teams could leverage AI to accelerate and do something fast. Accelerating large-scale test migration with LLMs. Now, I'm going to post this. This is an article I think everybody should go read is this Airbnb thing. Now, what they did was this. Basically, there was a lot of engineering that went in to making something really easy leveraging AI. What I just said was kind of nuanced, but it's really important. There was a lot of engineering that then leveraged another tool, large neural networks, to do something really awesome. So basically, this is what happened for the migration. They made a system that does this, that says, does the file have enzyme? If it not, it asks the LLM to refactor it to RTL. Or if it has an enzyme file, refactor that to RTL. It takes that and it passes it through Jest. If it fails Jest, it passes those errors into Jest, and it keeps running that until Jest fix. Then it runs lint on that. This is not an AI system at all. It just runs a lint fix on the Jest or the RTL files that passed Jest. Then it says, does it still have lint errors? And it runs that through the LLM to fix those errors. And then it runs it through the TypeScript issues and runs those errors through that. And it does this. It's an engineered system with a ton of tests that were engineered tests to make a migration really fast. This is actually really, really cool. It's a good bit of engineering. It changes how you think about engineering systems a little bit and how you could leverage these systems. It wasn't free. It took them 2 months, I believe it took them. It took them 2 months to build this system, to do this. But then it took a massive number of files that was going to take them a year, I think they said a year and a half, of grunt work to hand type out. And they were able to validate their system with a bit of engineering. I actually love this article. I wanted you guys to go read it. I think that was really good. I think that it's a fantastic bit of how you can leverage LLMs in an engineer. Think about it as an engineer. I hope that it runs the test at the start and the end to make sure the results are the same. Absolutely, Russell. Absolutely. I mean, this is a blog post. I don't know that they go, like, I read all of it, but I'm not sure that they go into all of it. But I mean, like, this is a way that you can leverage these LLMs. And I honestly thought that it was really, really good. And it's a good way to show engineers how you can actually engineer stuff, engineer tasks, engineer different things. That's not just, hey, have AIs code stuff for me. That's not what it was. It was engineering a system that leverages that. Super cool. And this is actually what Cursor does, a lot of the same stuff. I keep bringing up Cursor because they do a lot of the same stuff where they're like, hey, does the code compile? If not, run those compile errors back to the AI with the suggestions. And then they say, hey, did the test pass that we're passing? If not, run that back. And that's how it's better. Because when we did the AI games, we actually noticed that Cursor was better than the backing Anthropic just used, the backing Claude, Anthropic's Claude. So anyways, I just want to point it out. I think it's a really good read if you're trying to like actually leverage LLMs in a good way. There's things like this that are very reasonable. You know, it's already spelled out in Enzyme what they want to do in RTL. It's already coded out for them. This is really, really good and effective. I like it. You're looking to do something a little similar, not test though, but a lot of torque. Absolutely. I think that this is fantastic and more people should look at leveraging things like this. Maybe if we can figure out something to do on stream, we could build a little tool that does something that's kind of common, just like pre-built to do a common thing that people find themselves doing. I don't know. If we could figure out something like that, I'd love to do it on stream. All right. Speed running the rest. I have 3 minutes left. AI search flow builder in AWS looked pretty cool for their open search service. You could go give it a check. Mellum, it's what's backing JetBrains completion. Did go open-ish. I'm not gonna say open source, but it goes open, so you can go check it out on Hugging Face. It's for code generation. It's designed for code generation. We might try to run it locally and see if we can't fine tune it. I'm actually enjoying fine tuning stuff, even though it's garbage on my machine and I need somebody to donate a lot of money for expensive stuff to actually fine tune. It's interesting. We're gonna try running it locally at some point. Freebic made F-Lite, which produces images. Cool. OpenAI is rolling back its latest 4.0 update that made that made the AI psychopathy and annoying. Fantastic. I didn't get to see that. I kind of would like a psychopath. I would have liked that. I would have preferred that. Like, keep it up. Quen 3 was released. We tried training Quen 2. We tried fine-tuning Quen 2. That did not go so well. Maybe we try fine-tuning Quen 3. We'll have to give it a shot. Well, I mean, we'll have to give it a shot. They have their like 3 billion. We'll have to, maybe they're 0.6 billion. It did not go so well last time that we tried to do it, but maybe we'll try to fine tune Quen 3. Seems like it would be fun. It didn't go well last time. It went very badly. User prompt improvements is now public preview. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic. I'm so sorry if that hurt your ears. I apologize. And Oracle stood up while they were crashing other people's systems and taking hospitals back to the Stone Age. They were building a liquid-cooled GPU farm. I've never seen servers so far apart. Super cool. That's it. I'm done for today. I have to get going. I'm so sorry for speed running the last little bit. I think we covered the most important parts in depth. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get too loud? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I was speed running. I apologize. I will whisper. Look at that Nightbot. Nightbot's defending us. Defending me. I'm not part of. I'm sorry. I'll whisper into the microphone next time. All right. I have to get going. Thank you so much for joining. Sorry that I wasn't yelling at you. I was yelling with you. Okay. Next time I'll whisper with you when I'm excited. Thanks everybody for joining. Please join me tomorrow if you have the time. Love having you guys around. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.